Hello friends, welcome back. I'm Beth, here to help you fulfill your potential in meditation. As most of you know, I don't have just one method that I teach to everybody, like one size fits all. Instead, I much prefer to teach people one-on-one. And the reason is that you're all different, so please use these videos as a guideline. And if there's anything that isn't quite working for you, anything that doesn't quite fit, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you one-on-one. Today's video is about the role of joy in our meditation practice. In Pali, we use the word piti. Now, the first thing to say is that it's wonderful to see more and more people understanding that meditation is here to be enjoyed. For far too long, we've had tense, tight, joyless meditators, and it's great to see that culture starting to change and more people enjoying the practice. But as we cultivate increasing joy in our meditation practice, there's some nuance to that joy that's easy to overlook. And that's what I want to discuss today. Now, the first thing to say about joy, or piti, is that it's neither inherently wholesome or unwholesome. It can be either. So I think we can all think of examples of that unwholesome joy. That's the joy associated with getting what we want, or delighting in our favourite kinds of sense pleasure, or maybe a temporary boost to our ego. All of those things feel joyful, and none of them are wholesome. On the wholesome side, we have things like the joy associated with our love, with our acceptance, with our faith, our mudita, our gratitude, our renunciation, and that is the kind of joy that we want to be cultivating in our meditation practice. Now, oftentimes we might think when we're meditating, I'm meditating, so any joy that arises will obviously be wholesome because I'm engaged in a wholesome activity. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. Quite often when we're meditating, we have in mind something that we want. And when we get that result that we like, we feel joy. We got a result that we like. We then embark on a project of trying to recreate that same experience again and again that feels good, getting what we want out of the practice again and again. It's a very common trap that we can fall into in meditation, and it does feel good for a while. Unfortunately, that's an unwholesome kind of joy, and it's not what we want to cultivate. So the first nuance that I want us to tune into is whether or not the joy that we're experiencing in the practice really is wholesome. Is it the joy associated with letting go, with renunciation, with being in good relationship with the object, with being content and grateful and having faith? The second type of nuance that I want to describe is that as our practice deepens, our joy should refine. As with everything in meditation, the direction of progress is from more coarse to more subtle. As our practice deepens, everything refines and becomes more subtle, including the joy. So our job in meditation is not to cultivate more and more and more joy. We shouldn't think the more joy we have, the better the practice is going. Rather, as our practice deepens, the joy that we experience will become increasingly quiet and refined and gentle. How do we cultivate this experience of a refining joy? To do that, we largely want to ignore the joy, and we want to bring ourselves into wholesome relationship with our meditation object. If we're in good relationship with our meditation object, if we're content, if we're confident, comfortable, if we like it for its own sake, then our joy will be there, and it will gradually refine over time as our practice deepens. So those are the two kinds of nuance that I wanted to discuss today in regards to joy. First of all, let us check that it's wholesome. Secondly, let us check that it's refining over time, that we're not just creating more and more and more joy. If there's anything that's unclear to you, anything you're not sure about, then be in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you one-on-one. But for now, it's time to get off of the screens, get onto the cushions and actually do the practice. Let's see what joy we can cultivate in our meditation practice today. As most of you know, I do all of my work on a donation basis, so I welcome you to support me either through Patreon or through my website so that I can continue to make these videos. Thank you so much for your support. Wishing you the best with your meditation.